the oil pan itself. There's a crack here, and it looks like someone cracked an egg.
All right, it is week 3 of working on the Mini Cooper for the Onyx Off-Road Build Challenge. And this year the odds are stacked with 6 other teams building off-road rigs and 1 wild card coming along with us. We have a lot of work to get this Mini Cooper up to snuff and where we want it to compete. To stay on schedule for today, we need to get the motor mounted, and we also need to start working on the back end and getting that enclosed, like figuring out where the radiator goes, where the gas tank goes, and where those rear shocks are going, because boy, there's a lot going on back there. Stick around to the end of the video where I'm going to be revealing the name of the Mini Cooper. We've had a lot of good suggestions, but one of them stuck out above the rest, and I think it's very fitting for it. So starting off the day, we'll be finishing up these front frame rails and seeing what the motor needs. Yesterday, Ian stopped by, and we did some work with him and stuff. We started doing the front frame rails so that we could actually get the motor mounts put in, because right now the motor mounts stop just shy of where they need to mount the motor. So I want to get the motor in place, and then I can get the transmission in place. Like I said, first order of business is getting these front frame rails finished.
So with it being a Saturday, that means that it's just me and Rudy in the shop, which also means I get to do a little bit more than I normally would. So earlier this week, Rudy got these beadlocks cut out with a plasma cutter, but they haven't been cleaned up yet. You can kind of see there's got a whole bunch of slag still on here, and the holes aren't exactly even. But I mean, this one actually looks pretty good. But I'm gonna start cleaning these up, hopefully later today, and if not today, later this week, we'll have tires. That way we can mount the tires on the beadlock and have the Mini Cooper as a roller. Let's get started. Alright, so we got those all cleaned up. Now let me show you what we're doing with them. So we got these steelies off Amazon, and I think they were what, like 98 bucks?
Yeah, I'm working right now, by the way.
But yeah, so we got them for 98 bucks off Amazon, and then these rings that I just cleaned up. So one of them goes here on the bottom, and we did have to cut the lip off of the wheel that was already on there. This one side is going to get welded onto the wheel, and then it's just a regular beadlock, and we'll just have that top piece, smash the tire in between it, and then we're good.
I pulled the motor out because I needed to put these pieces of frame in. There was nothing really to them. I just pretty much cut and ground until the angles worked, and I welded them in. Now we need to build motor mounts off of them though, and just the way they are right now, I don't really like how strong they are, and I know they're gonna get tied into the frame everywhere else later anyway, but right now there's some stock like motor mount holes underneath that actually held the whole front suspension in. If I shim my frame here, I can put a tab off of that and be able to bolt this section to this section. So this here's the bolt that we're going to, and it also has like this self-centering cone on it, which is cool, but we don't really care about that. But we're gonna use it anyway. This piece will get us down to that level, just like that, and then we'll bring a tab out and connect the dots. Nice. Okay, now the other one. Tabs are cut out. These just get welded together to just add some strength, you know, because I'm not going to be throwing gussets or anything. It's just going to be the tab over to catch it. I've already got one tacked into place and bolted in, and now we just have to do this other side. Oh, grind mode. Ooh, hot, 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 hot. Okay, just need to weld that up. There's been a change of plans. We're not going to be using the AX15 because I haven't been able to source an adapter for it. So we're going to be using the stock Mercedes transmission, which is a 4-speed, and I've got kind of a creative solution to deal with that. We'll get this unbolted, get stock one put back on, we'll be good to go. Okay, that's too far. So go back up. So, I didn't have the camera on, but we decided to move the motor and transmission a little bit, and the strap holding the transmission broke. Transmission fell, motor broke the bottom oil pan, and we tore it apart to see the damage, and that's where we're at now. So I'm sorry you didn't see any of that, but I was so nervous I didn't even remember to turn the camera on. That's how the oil pan looks now, all munched up. It's not supposed to look like that at all.
It was a little bit of a rough day.
Yeah, a little bit of a rough day. And then we broke
The oil pan itself, there's a crack here, and it looks like someone cracked an egg.
But all that needs to get modified anyway, because if you remember, that front oil pan comes dangerously close to all this stuff here. What I was originally planning on doing anyway was cutting and modifying it.
We'll cut this flange off, and we'll move it back, and then we'll cover up the front.
That also means inside the motor, we have to modify this oil pickup tube. So it needs to come straight back now, and then pick up from, you know, where the new oil pan is, not up here, back here. It would have just been so nice if Mercedes would have done that from the factory, because that is probably the biggest headache with this swap, and it's a pretty good one.
It's a headache for sure.
So before we get modifying this oil pan today, we're gonna take it outside, get it sprayed off, degreased, all that good stuff. We might do a couple of the other parts as well. Wow, I'm actually impressed. So Zach did a pretty good job cleaning those up. We're gonna find out when I have to cut and weld them. While I'm working on the front and motor stuff, Zach's gonna be clearing out this back end and getting ready for shocks and a radiator and fuel tanks.
Yeah, thinking probably need to cut along this seam right here, and then down, and then this whole floor basically comes out. Do a good job, because it's going to SEMA.
Do a good job of everything.
He's right, sometimes.
Alright, so I've got the oil pan here flipped upside down. This section we just need to slide back pretty much as far as we can get it. To do that, we need to cut it off. So I've got my handy dandy little tool here. Just gonna go ahead and use that to mark the edge that I want to cut all the way in. So
Just gonna tape this together. Perfect.
we got this oil pan flange cut off. It was sitting right there, just like that. From this point, it needs to clear 4 inches. So that means the front of it needs to be about right there. I've just been cutting and grinding it a whole bunch. and I've gotten it to fit right here, which from there to there, that's a huge difference. So a couple of these bolts are now going to have to be like undone from like inside the oil pan, but I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. I still have my turbo drains exactly where I left them, and my dipstick tube, which is right there. A couple more spots to clean up a little bit and we'll be good. And I've already kind of filled in some spots with weld, and yeah, I really don't see there being any problem with doing it this way, just as long as I can actually weld up all the seams and they don't crack or fail later. All right, so last night I was welding up this oil pan and my welder ran out of gas naturally, but we got it pretty good. Like, we've got all the gaps filled up and everything all around it. It's actually holding water in there. That's what the inside looks like with our flange on there. We still have our stock turbo drains in place and everything, and the back's all sealed up. I wanted to keep a lot of this because this stuff is strong and that's part of the trans brace. But now we just need to close up this end. So we need to come from this surface 5.5 inches up to there, and then just box that whole thing in, and should be good. Yep. Not bad for a hobbyist. We're gonna pull off that and work on something else on the Mini Cooper. So back here, Zach has just been hacking away at everything we don't need. Look at how much we don't need still. Boy.
There's still more to go, believe it or not.
It needs to be cleaned up a lot, but that's the profile, and doesn't it look fast? It's not gonna be, but it kind of looks fast.
That's all that matters, right?
Yeah.
As long as it looks fast.
Oh yeah. Clearly there's nothing here, and we have to make something be here, because on the 8th day God said, let there be race car. What?
Is that so?
Yeah.
I think it took a little bit longer than 8 days for the race car to come around, actually.
We need to continue this frame out over the back end here, and it's probably gonna come, I don't know, maybe like 4 to 6 inches past where the tire will be. The plan is to build a piece that connects to the cross member under there, comes down, will come up at like a 45, catch that, come up above the axle, bend back down, kind of do a little dovetail thing.
Sounds cool.
Sounds cool, but will it be cool? Yeah.
We'll make it.
I kind of want to build this back frame with the axle at full stuff, so I know I'm not getting into the way of anything. But on top of that, we also need to fit bump stops too, so it will help me put the frame where I can already mount bump stops. Right there. I like it. Perfect. That's it.
That right there is full stuff. Yep, full stuff.
Beautiful.
Zach got these frames cut off out of 45, and while he was doing that, I was doing measurements in my head and putting them into real life. Here they are. Yep. So let me show you how these go, because you might be curious. Go into here and in on that. That's a big gap because Zach cut it big. But see how they connect under here? Yeah, they tie in super strong. Out the back, are you holding it?
Yeah.
Okay. We just have to throw another bend right here over this axle to get that bar angled back down. I like it.
too.
And then we can mount our bump stops right off of that. So the angle that this was at, so if we're gonna assume that's 0, whatever this angle is, I want to put that angle in it down the opposite way. So we're gonna take, gonna assume the floor is flat right there. Gonna call this 10 degrees. So that means to get that down at a 10 degrees, I need to bend this at 20 degrees right here.
Did you guys follow that? Because I don't think I did.
Let's go 10 degrees first to be safe and see how it being flat looks. And then maybe we can go farther.
Fine. All right, we'll get it in our swag bender here and get bending. Now, to make sure that everything bends square, I'll come out here and I'll make sure that says 0. Gonna rotate it up, rotate under. We're gonna call that. That's the best we're gonna get. Don't touch it. You think that's enough bend? It's like hardly anything. I'm excited because the back of this car is taking shape.
That does actually look really kind of good.
Go down a little bit. Right there. Whew. You like it, Zach?
It's alright.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
You did a good job, Zach.
And then what, like cut it off like right here?
Somewhere like that. But we'll get the other one bent, and then we'll cut that off, and then notch it. I know the frame's not square. It angles in towards the back. I don't even know for the front. We've just been using the Mini Cooper body for a reference. We've cut out so much structure that it could be flexing all on its own. So far things are adding up though. It's when things don't start adding up, that's when we have a problem. Or this is gonna be the 8th wonder of the world. People are gonna wonder how the heck we did it, being who we are. That's flush with the back of that tire. Talking about this mark, just so you know. And I'd come off of that maybe 4 inches to make room for bumper. All right, so we got this rear frame rail all bent up, got it notched for the bumper, or at least I hope that's where the bumper's supposed to be. We don't know, it's just floating out in space right now. We don't have any plans, but we can get close. Okay, I like it. I think I like it. It kind of seems like it's bent.
Also, I think those are.
Oh. All right, frame rails. I mean, those look good. They look even. At least a little bit. Oh yeah, they look even under here even. Is that even enough? 33.5 and 33.25. Dude, hanging these out 6 feet or whatever and being less than a quarter inch off. I can make up the difference right there, just like that. Something or other. Whew. Dude, nice that. All right, we threw this bumper on. It was honestly just the leftover cut-off piece from this side, and all of our scrap so far is those 3 pieces, and we're definitely going to use that one up. So, for back here though, something needs to hold this, because right now it definitely wobbles and wiggles and stuff. So I'm thinking we'll come straight up off of this spot, angle up, head over this way, and then bend it flat and come straight along here where it will catch our halo bar. But instead we're going to stop it and we're going to put a flange there so that we can bolt the halo bar together, because what we build in the car is going to be welded to the car and it won't come out.
Whereas this is part of the frame, and we do need it to come out still.
Well, we also need to keep the shocks in mind.
And as you can see, we got the bypass there and the coil over there. And they kind of come up into about this area right here, so we need to make sure this bar goes high enough that we can still mount the shocks underneath it. And then off of these bends, we'll throw more bars and kickers up to catch those. Yeah, we just need to figure out what these bars look like.
When I'm measuring before I bend, I just get a basic idea, so I don't have to be working with a 20-foot length. But I think 6 inches up there, approximately 6, we'll do 30 here, 25, we'll do 30 inches to there, and then 30 inches, that's 5 foot 6 inches. That should do it. These cookies from Subway are pretty good. Foot-long cookies, have you tried them? They're really bad for you. Anyway. As one of my old bosses would have said, it's brain food. So, I got these bent up, and they're gonna go something like that. Okay? You follow? Before I mark and measure and cut this end, instead of just floating that end out in outer space, I actually have a bar coming down off the frame to catch it. And that bar is right there. We gotta put this bar in. I just eyeballed it pretty much, but it's gonna go in something like that. So as soon as I get that tacked in, we can get that other bar set in place, because we know this end's gonna hold it, and then I can mark that end and figure out how it needs to be notched and what angle everything needs to be. Let me put my cookie down, and we'll get right to it. If you're wondering how I got the angle for the bottom of this bar to angle out, I literally just held it there, eyeballed it, and said I need to chop a 1/2 inch off of this end to get the angle. So I cut it, and then I cut the other one, and then I cut the notch squared off of that, so that, you know. Does that make sense?
Yep. You cut it, and then you cut it, and then you cut it.
But there is some level of accuracy. Can you get me the angle finder, Janelle, please? Okay, so we're gonna go out on a limb and say that this wants to be 90 degrees, right? .5.
Take it or leave it.
So then we need to figure out how this angle, and this angle wants to be, I mean, you want to pick up that bar for me and we'll set it up here? Just take a look at it. Down, down, down. That looks pretty good. Let me mark it, I guess. Don't move.
Okay. Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Okay.
I think I moved.
Okay. All right, that's our, that's how we need to do this. So we can kind of see the angle that it's supposed to be at. And now we're just on to hand notching, which takes forever. As soon as we get these good tacks put on and both sides put on, we can build the upper shock mount, or at least the outline of it, and put the shocks in and see how those look. That's pretty cool. Passing the standard. Even. See that? That's a gauge block. Ta-da! Bars are in. It's not quite strong yet because everything's only tacked together, but this is great. So, good morning. We're back working on the Mini Cooper. we're back working on the back of the Mini Cooper.
Kind of got this pipe notched out and jammed in there. And then I also have been working on this upper shock mount. So that's kind of where I want it. I think I have it in line with that lower bar so that, you know, there's no weird twist on it. It's just mounted straight vertical. The reason I have this shock mounted up higher than this one is because this is actually 2 inches longer. This is an 8-inch coilover and this is a 10-inch bypass. And the reason you have to do that is because if you look down here at full droop, it has to come further down anyway. It travels further. So the point of pivoting is right here. And the further down this you go, the longer the shock has to be for it being mounted up this.
Let me show you the full range of travel. There it is. Full stuff. That's about 16 inches. So with the limit straps and bump stops, we should have about 15 inches of usable travel back here. And I think that's pretty good for a Mini Cooper. So as you can see, we've got options back here for fuel tanks and how we can orient the radiator. I have a way that I think would work best, but I want to hear from you. I'm going to give you the 3 configurations that I think will work back here, and just let me know which one's your favorite. This is option 1, option 2, and option 3. There is, of course, a 4th option that I've kind of now just considered, and that's to get a vertical tank so I can prop it upright, angle the radiator, and then I still have a whole bunch of storage. Because right now with this option, I can't stack anything in front of it, otherwise it will not cool properly and we'll have overheating issues. We definitely don't want that. But out of those 3, what one was your favorite? Alright, for whatever reason, today is full of tragedies, such as dropping the motor and apparently losing audio on some very important clips. So to make up for that, I'm just going to be explaining what the clip shows. Alright, so the first thing I talk about in the clip that lost audio is the aluminum oil pan. I got it all welded up. I left the bottom off of it, and that was so that I could build that new oil pickup tube easier. I could just get it in and out a lot better. But we're leaving it installed while we build these motor mounts so that we know we're not building in the way of it, and so we can build underneath it properly. So these are the plates that I designed and cut out on my CNC plasma table there. On the back of it, we actually ended up welding a gusset to it. These went under the frame, off of it at an angle like that, and in that clip, I throw it underneath the vehicle to show you exactly where I'm planning on putting it. Alright, it's officially in place now. Ding. Right there. Okay. Now the next step that I want to do is actually build the cross member that goes underneath and ties those 2 things together. So I cut out some more plates to bolt to it. They just match it. Just like that and that. Perfect. And then I was planning on bending 1.5 inch pipe to wrap that. And then from that 1.5 inch pipe, we can put our 2 little prongs up to our motor mounts, and we'll call it good.
So this right here is the bushing that I'm planning on using for the motor mounts. If we have 1 on each side, they're super rigid and hard, but they will let the motor move a little bit.
And then we'll mount some of these back there on the transmission and transfer cases, and that will hold it all together, I hope. I don't really know. I've never really built a Mini Cooper before, so I don't know what it takes.
Since I plan on putting a pipe from that motor mount to that motor mount underneath the motor,
we need to figure out what that is. And if I'm going to do it in one piece, one pipe, then I got to know exactly what it is. So I've seen this trick before, and you may have too. You just take some welding rod. Let's see here. Been using a lot of aluminum. Let's use that. Boom. we'll take that over here and we'll bend it up and see if we can't get a shape from this. Boom. See that? That's perfect. Next, I want to take a patch, clean patch on the floor, and I'm just going to mark it up. I'm going to square it up. Alright. So I had my bent piece here, and then I cut out and bent this one, and it fits pretty dang good. Actually, I think it goes maybe that way. Yeah, that's the way it goes. I already got the edges cut off at the angle they need to be, so we just need to hold it up there and weld it. There we are. Got about an inch of clearance there. That should give it some room to move. And then hopefully we gave it enough room for the axle to come up, which it looks like we did, but we might need some notching. Well, I was plugging away at working on the Mini Cooper, and Janelle calls me and she's like, hey, come outside. And there's a rattlesnake. She didn't know it was a rattlesnake, I don't think, at the time. She just knew it was a big snake.
Yep.
This isn't like a giant rattlesnake, but it's a good size for around here. Oh, there's the rattle. Yeah, we definitely don't want this like around here, but I'm not gonna kill it either. So we're gonna go release it. What you think, Janelle? Did you know it was a rattlesnake when you went outside?
I didn't. Higgy just started barking like crazy, so I went outside, and then I saw it, and then I called you. And I didn't even go near it. I just saw it, and I was like, mm-mm.
All right, time to go. Adios, snake. I don't know if they travel very far, but we're pretty far away from the shop right now. Released into the wild. There's lots of area out here for it to find food and whatnot, and it's big enough that it's probably gonna do just fine. Anyway, back to the shop for some work, and hopefully we don't get any other surprises like that. Maybe next time a tarantula will walk in. All right, so with that bar in there, we now need to make our motor mounts. I went over on my computer and designed some plates out right here. That's basically how the motor mount's gonna go. Then Janelle made this stew.
It's shop stew, so it's nothing special.
You made that here?
I did make that here. Sometimes we stay at the shop.
Anyway, so yeah, I'll get that welded up and then we'll put it under there and see. I'm just gonna throw that in there really quick so I know what we're dealing with. And wow, looks very strong. There it is. Now we need to go ahead and build off of the motor mount to this plate right here. So just a small little bar. All right, so we got this driver's side in. I just modified the plate a little bit to hang off the tube. We'll have to definitely throw some gussets on there, but it's in. And it's really hard to see. We'll have to pull the cab to show you again, but both sides are in. Let's see if it'll hold some weight. Holding both sides. Very nice. I think I'm feeling brave enough to pull the straps off. Let's see. Whew. It's in. Heck yeah. Wow. Wow. Motor fits up in there really good. So it looks like we have about an inch or so of clearance up here. A little more than an inch. But whoo! It's in.
The motor's in?
Yeah.
Like by itself.
Well, we've got a jack holding the transmission up. Yes! Victory! Seeing as this is the only Mini Cooper in the world that I know of that is built to this level, or is getting built to this level, I would really appreciate it if you went and voted for it on onyxoffroad.com. It is completely free to vote. All you have to do is have an email to make an account, and you can vote for this build every single day. And currently we're in last place, but I know with your help, we can work our way up the ranks. But let's talk about the name. So the name reveal, after much thought and asking other people what they thought of it, the name for the Mini Cooper build is going to be called the King Cooper. Okay,
Wow.
okay. The name for this one-of-a-kind vehicle, King Cooper. I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking like Mario Kart or Koopa Troopa, because that's what my mind goes to. But if you say King Coop, it doesn't sound as bad. So that's what this is, the King Coop. You know, it's kind of a majestic name. It rolls off the tongue really nice. And my colors are purple, the color of royalty. And with that, I think the name is fitting and just big, powerful, you know, almighty. Even though in chess, the king is probably the weakest player. Regardless, King Cooper. And you gotta remember with that name, we're not keeping it red. Red is just a little bit too much not my style. It clashes with the hair. So we're actually going to probably be stripping it down to bare metal. That is way more my style. I've got ways to keep it from rusting, but it'll be bare metal and purple. Actually, hold on. Bare metal and chrome purple. So just imagine, like, these are the two colors that contrast with each other in it. Oh, it's gonna look rad. It's gonna be bad, and it's gonna be the King Coupe. And in case you've seen Bleepin' Jeep's off-road Jaguar, I had the idea first to strip it down to bare metal. He just got to it first. That's fine. We can both be cool, but he won't be this cool. Thanks for watching.